Hey, what's up guys? This is Mr. Winters. In this video today, I'm going to teach you how to make some picture frames. Look at how adorable they are. All right, let's get after it. For these picture frames, we're getting wood that is 3/4 of an inch thick here, 1/2 of an inch thick here. So 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch here. I've got templates that you can use to make different size picture frames. So we've got one template for 4x6 picture frames. There's a template for 5x7 picture frames, and there's a template for 8x10 inch picture frames. So I would encourage you that if you're gonna make one of these, make a whole set. In this video, I'm gonna do a 4x6 inch picture frame. So I'm gonna use this template to start. Okay, now when we make this, we're cutting these angles to 45 degrees. So when we put a 45 together and a 45 together, we get a 90-degree angle. This is called a miter joint, so we're using miter joints to build this picture frame. On the back side of this, you're going to see a little notch cut out. Okay, that's so that you can put the picture in there. And if you wanted to put glass, you could do that as well. That is called a rabbet joint. And it's not spelled like the bunny rabbit, it's spelled R-A-B-B-E-T. So we're going to be practicing miter joints and rabbet joints in these picture frames. Make sure you start with a nice sharp pencil when you're doing this, because you're tracing a template, and when you trace templates, you want to have a nice sharp tip. I got 4 pieces of wood to cut, so I'm going to do all 4 of these pieces. Remember, we need to set the miter gauge on here to 45 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all 4 of these. I have all 4 pieces for this picture frame cut. Next thing I need to do is go to the disc sander, and we need to make sure that these are exactly the same size. They need to match perfectly. The long pieces need to match perfectly, and the short pieces need to match perfectly. And I'll show you how we can do this on the disc sander. Start by setting the miter gauge 45 degrees. You want to take your 2 pieces. We're going to do the small ones first. I'm just going to sand this piece a little bit on each end. You can see these 2 are perfect. Those are the ones I just sanded, but you can see those aren't even. So now I'm just going to take the longer piece and make them match. Now you can see those 2 pieces match perfectly. Now I'm going to take my longer pieces and repeat that process. So I'm going to sand 2 edges first. Okay, we're matched up there, but there you can see one's a little bit longer, so I'm going to fix that. The next step is we're going to put a rabbet joint in the back of this board. As you can see, that'll give you a spot where your picture will sit into the frame, and it gives you room that if you wanted to put a piece of glass, you could put a piece of glass. Use the routing table and what's called a rabbet bit. Now don't assume that that is already in there. We might have to change this bit out. So if you don't know what a rabbet bit looks like, come and get me and I'll help you change it. And then what you're going to do, we have a trapezoid. We're running the top of the trapezoid against the fence. We want to cut that joint right here. So make sure you use push sticks on this. all 4 of my pieces now have a rabbet joint cut into them. So now it's time to glue this thing together. Time to get this thing glued up. So I've got all 4 boards. I've got glue. You want to get some masking tape and have a wet rag to help clean the glue up off your fingers and wipe any extra glue. So you're going to start by taking a couple pieces of masking tape about that long. I'm going to need 4 of those. Okay, now I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to lay these boards in the pattern of big, little, big, little. So we have big board, short board, big board, short board. I'm going to take this tape like that, and I'm going to attach that piece right into that corner and tape those together. I'm going to repeat that the whole way down. When you're done, this whole thing should fold up like that. I'm going to just glue each joint and then fold this thing all up. You should see some glue squirting out where the joints are. And if you have a little crack there, that's okay. We're going to fix that on the next step. If there's any spots where it didn't quite go together, we'll fix that on the next step. Take your wet rag and wipe that extra glue off. Okay, I got all the glue wiped off on the front and the back, the best that I could. Okay, once you have your frame taped up in the corners, we want to use the nail gun. And we're going to use a 3/4 inch brad nail to reinforce those joints. So we need to load the nail gun with 3/4 inch staples. If you don't know where to find these, come and get me and I'll help you get this set up. We're going to plug into our air compressor, so we pull this knob down. I'm going to put this into here. So you pull the collar down. Now I'm going to put nails into each corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to give this 5 minutes to let that glue dry, and then we can continue on to the next step. I've given my picture frame time to dry, so now I'm going to remove all this tape. So I'm going to take some sawdust like that. I'm going to add some glue. And I'm going to mix that into a putty. You'll end up with a big old glob like this. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it into each one of these miter joints. And it's okay to be a little bit sloppy. If you've got Now as I sand that, that's going to fill all of those cracks in. I'm going to get a sheet of 120 grit sandpaper and I'm going to sand this thing for my first sand. So now you can see by doing that, I've filled in all of those cracks. And if you still have one that needs a little bit more, like right here, I still want to fix that. And right here it needs a little bit more. So now all I'm going to do is take a little bit of glue and put it right where that crack is. While that glue is wet, I'm going to sand it again with 120 grit. And what that'll do is it'll pull sawdust from here and fill in that so that it's perfectly even. So make sure you sand it while that glue is still wet. Now you can see those corners all look pretty good. So the next step, get a wet rag and wipe this down. Okay, my frame's had time to dry, so now I'm going to sand with 220 grit sandpaper. Okay, I got my picture frame all sanded up. So now we gotta decide how we're gonna have this thing stand up. So you have one option. You can do the other project where you build one of these little stands, and that can be a holder like that for your picture. Or we can put a little stand on the back like this. That'll just let your picture stand like that. For this video, I'm going to show you how to do this piece. Okay, so this picture frame is 7 inches total. The inside is 6 inches, so I need to mark 3.5 inches. So now I'm going to drill a hole halfway through, right at that mark. We're going to use a 3/16 inch drill bit, and we're going to drill on that hole halfway through. Make sure you have a 3/16 inch drill bit and set it to go halfway. Okay, I'm all set. I'm going to go ahead and drill this hole. I'm going to get a 3/16 inch dowel rod, and I'm going to measure 1.5 inches. And I'm going to cut that piece off. Be able to take your dowel rod and put it into that hole. Final thing is to finish this up. I can either torch it or I can leave it looking natural. And in this video, I'll go ahead and torch this picture frame, and then we'll finish it with the mineral oil. Get a pair of channel locks and just lightly hold this. Don't squeeze so tight that you mess your wood up. So that's how I'm going to hold this while I torch it. This is another type of torch I have that has the start triggered, so you just turn the gas on. So you hear it coming out. Start this torch, we're good to go. Okay, there we go. There we go. I got my project all complete. Have fun, be safe, be creative, make cool things in the shop. We'll see you on the next video.